Joining me today is Chris Bartlett. The name you may not recognize, but I guarantee the voices you will. Coming to the Indiana Comic Convention in Indy, June 5th through the 7th. Chris, normal voice first, then we'll get into the other stuff. How are you, sir?
Dan, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
You better believe it. I mean, Comic-Cons are awesome. I'm sure you are no stranger to them, and you've got such a long history with Star Wars. And let's just give everybody a little snippet of one of the roles that you play so they kind of know who we're talking to.
Right. Well, you wouldn't recognize my face, as you mentioned, because it's usually covered in a mask. This particular one is gold because he's fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. I am C3PO, human cyborg relations, and it's wonderful to see you.
Oh, that's incredible, man. It's incredible how you just morph into the character like that.
Oh, well, I've been playing him for over 20 years, and in addition, when they started casting for The Mandalorian a few years ago, they were like, you possess a particular set of skills that we're looking for. Could you do that for us? And that's when they cast me as Q90 on The Mandalorian, who's the bounty hunter who flies Mando's ship, and Mando doesn't like that.
Yes.
And then they just kept casting me, Dan, as droids.
Was that a bad thing, though? You got your niche now, right?
Yeah, it's not bad to have a niche, for sure, because, actors want to work, and so I don't mind that at all. I think my mom minds it most of all. She'd love to see my face on screen, but that'll happen. That's going to happen. But anyway, bartenders and mercenaries and teacher droids and servant droids, protocol droids, bounty hunters. There's a lot of them, and it's really fun to come up with how each individual droid, what his attitude is, how he acts, how he talks. But gosh, I feel so lucky being part of this universe. I grew up as a Star Wars fan at age 7 in 1977, going to the theater with my parents.
Yes.
And ever since, it's been a pretty magical existence.
I mean, there's so many things to talk to you about, but let's just start with Star Wars, the original back in 77. I remember as a kid being in that line wrapped around the theater just to get in to see that movie. And that was just the very first taste of Star Wars for everybody.
Right. And back then it was just called Star Wars. There was no Episode 4. There was no promise of sequels.
Yes.
Or streaming or reserved seating even. And for me as a 7-year-old, it just ignited my whole imagination for my whole life. And I realized there was a bigger world of imagination and storytelling out there, and never. I mean, you as a 7-year-old, you dream of being in Star Wars, but you never imagine that would actually ever
Sure,
happen.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be a Jedi. I want to do this. I want to do that. But yeah, I mean, you've made it happen. Right.
Yeah. So I was as an adult, I had my own life and my own career in video games, and I wanted to be an actor, but I didn't know how to do that or get started. If someone had just told me just take an acting class, that's probably I should have done that. But anyway, so I would go to these Comic-Cons like Fan X and Indiana, and I would wear costumes that I built, but I would play these characters for real. I would talk to people, if it's a stormtrooper, all right, we'll check it out, that kind of thing. And I would play them for real. It gave me a chance to improv and entertain people and get used to wearing costumes that you can't sit down in.
Yeah, and you talked about the Comic-Cons. I'm sure there's people out there like that now that we're going to see in June that are, they're hearing this and they're going, you know what, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. And, last year, right. I can't remember, I saw somebody, it was like a half and half costume, and it was somebody dressed, it was Boba Fett as a... and he had like disco pants on. I'm going, okay, I have to ask this guy what is going on. And he was like Disco Boba or something. I'm going, okay,
right.
you see all that.
Exactly. Now that Star Wars is so pervasive everywhere, there's so many stories you can enjoy, so many films and characters. You start to see mashups, right? So like when I grew up in 1980, I saw Boba Fett for the first time on screen. He was quiet and mysterious and powerful. And now, where you have so many things, it's fun to mash them up together with other IPs, other universes, other characters. So I love meeting people in costume and playing characters, and I like to shoot little videos of them, kind of showing them in character energy, and see, look, just a little bit of performance. You can see how this character would look like, how you could look like you just walked off the set. So that's a lot of fun for me.
A couple things you mentioned 20 years ago playing C3PO. When did this all start for you to be part of this?
Yeah, well, I mentioned I was doing, we call it cosplaying now, and I was building my own costume. So that was about 6 years, and during that time, I built my own C3PO costume. Something not like a cardboard tinfoil thing, but about 3 years building something that was as accurate as I could get. Back then, where we were sculpting, there was no 3D printing or anything. And the first time I wore it was with the original actor, Anthony Daniels. I was just there as a fan. He was appearing at the Boston Museum of Science, and someone took a video of it, and Lucasfilm saw a video of that, and I get an email saying, we'd like you to come in for a meeting and bring your costume. So it was an audition, and it was mostly a movement audition, but I wanted to nail that audition, Dan. So the lights were on, the sound was on, so after I did my little walk around, I said, I beg your pardon, is this a droid maintenance facility? Where am I? Where is R2 when I need him? So I got the job.
What? So that was, so when you got the gig for that, what was that for? Was that for?
That was for anything, at the time they were casting to extend the availability of C3PO. So Anthony Daniels, the original actor, finished out the films. And then there was lots of other things for him to do, C3PO to do, appear on Super Bowl commercials or the Oscars or special guest appearances on every TV show. And I didn't know that's what they were casting for. I just thought I was going in for a substitute day. And it turns out that's what it was. So every live-action appearance of C3PO on television over the last 20 years or in the media, like red carpets and things like that, has been me.
That's you. All right, now, you mentioned Mandalorian, and the movie's coming out, Mandarorian and Grogu, next month, highly anticipated. I'm looking forward to it. My son's looking forward to it. Can you give us any sneak peek? You're in this, right?
Well, you're going to see Mando and Grogu. This picks up right after the events of Season 3. They leave Navarro. Mando wants to get into more, bounty hunting, but Grogu's also learning. He's growing in his strength in the Force. He's got Mando armor, and they go on all kinds of adventures all over the galaxy. And that's really what the original, Star Wars and the original aim of The Mandalorian was about. Is what would it be like if you and your dad got to travel the galaxy, getting into and having adventures. That's what this is about. So you'll see a lot of that. You'll see a lot of starships and droids and probably some remnant from the Empire hanging around too.
Nice. Now, but you're in the movie somewhere?
Well, Dan, it's been great talking to you today. No,
I see.
We can't say whether we're in it or whether we're not. Yeah. So all I can say is the things I shared with you, lots more adventures, and I'm really excited to see Star Wars in the theater again.
Yes.
And on the big screen, finally we get to see Mando and Grogu, at 16 by 9 and surrounded by, 120 of your friends who also are there excited to see it. So, I'm really excited. I don't like spoilers. I suppose you don't either.
Yep, I got you.
So, we'll just watch it, enjoy it. Lots of people that I worked on the TV show with have worked on it, and I'm excited to see all their work.
That's funny, pleading the fifth there and everything. Talked to Katie Sackhoff, who was actually at the same convention you're going to be at here in June last year. And when I talked to her about, Bo-Katan and everything, and she said she has not been contacted by anybody. So now it makes me wonder, is she really in it now or not? So I can't wait till next month. This is going to be incredible.
Well, great. Yeah. Katie and I worked together on Mandalorian, right, we can't say whether we're in it or not.
I totally understand. So if you weren't a droid in the Star Wars franchise, in the Star Wars universe, What character would you want to be over since 1977, over 50 years of time? What character would Chris Bartlett want to be?
See, bounty hunters to me are the epitome of a typical character in the Star Wars universe. They're mysterious. You don't know what their motivations are, because really they're just based on who's paying them at the time, right? But they always have cool accessories, and I like that they're usually patched together. Their ships are have parts replaced, and their outfits probably too, and that's just kind of like how I grew up, working on cars in the garage with my dad, old cars, and I love the idea of the bounty hunter who's, the good guy, what his motivations are. The bad guys, what their motivations are. But the bounty hunters seem to be like whoever's paying them. That's their allegiance. It's a fun character archetype. So I like those.
It for sure is. Okay, now you were talking about how you had a hand in designing some of the earlier droid when you would go to Comic-Con and everything. Have you ever made one at Disney World? Because they have the Galaxy's Edge there. They have a spot where you can make your lightsabers. You can make droids. Have you ever done that there?
No, I haven't. I should do that.
Yeah, you should.
I haven't built one there. I did build. I did work with Disney. I built the C3PO in Disneyland, which is in Anaheim, California.
Right.
There's a C3PO there in one of the stores that I built. But no, I've never built my own kind of miniature droid. All mine are life size and got to be ready on set for a certain date or paint job.
Yeah.
So, I haven't done that yet, but I definitely would love to go to the Droid Depot and.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, keep it on the radar. What is one of the coolest things, being a celebrity at these Comic-Cons now that somebody has brought you to sign, or a memorable interaction that you had with somebody for somebody that was out there like you? What's something that you kind of remember from a fan?
That's tough to pin down on one. I really look forward to when I see people come in costume. You're wearing a costume, but it's a character if you are inhabiting it, right? So if you think about what would you want to look like if you're on the package of an action figure, what energy would you want? How would you walk as you're going through the scene in a real Star Wars film? And that's the most fun thing that I do with fans at events. I love to hear their story, how they built their droid or built their costume, and then I get out my phone and put it in cinematic mode, and we to create a mini scene.
Oh, that's
and then
great.
I like to string those together and put them on my make a little reel and put it on my social media so they can see, like, look at you. You look like the real deal, as opposed to if someone says, "Oh, you look great. Let's take a picture," and you're just standing there like, no energy. Let's see who are you aiming at? What are you chasing? What purpose do you have as you're walking to your ship? That's really fun. I love it, and I feel like it brings fans a little bit into the universe that I feel so lucky to have been able to enter. So that's for me, that's the most fun.
Well, that's incredible that you do that and you get to have these people live out their dreams. So again, it's coming up June 5th through the 7th. Tickets are on sale now. Photo ops are on sale now. All that kind of fun stuff. So make sure you order some Chris Bartlett stuff. Now you mentioned putting people into little scenes, and I just happen to have a few right here that I wanted to see if we could get C3PO or one of the droids. I mean, C3PO would be the wish, but I'm going to put you in a real life situation as C3PO and see how he would react. Okay, so your C3PO is stuck in traffic and he's late for work.
Right. All right. Well, obviously he's piloting. He's let's see what he hates. But I simply hate space travel. But land travel, that's quite a little bit more bearable. Now, I've always wanted to be in a pod race. Wouldn't that be exciting? That moves a little faster than LA traffic, but
yeah, no kidding. What about C3PO watching a horror movie? How would that sound?
Oh, excitement is hardly the word I would choose. Oh, it's terrifying. Oh, we're doomed.
All right, how about C3PO at the U-Scan at a grocery store, and he's having issues with it because they're saying there's an item that's on the thing, and it's not supposed to be there.
R2-D2, you know better than to trust a strange computer. Oh dear. I beg your pardon. Could you please assist me? I'm fluent in over 6 million forms of communication, and I can't understand this one.
That's great. All right, and finally, are you a country music fan, Chris?
Yes.
Who's your favorite country artist, would you say, or a couple of favorites?
Well, he's old and gone.
Okay.
Marty Robbins, Johnny Cash. I like the old stuff.
Okay.
So that's on my playlist all the time.
What about C3PO trying to attempt a Johnny Cash song?
Okay, let's see.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. My goodness, I'm afraid I'll never understand human behavior.
That's awesome. Chris, man, it has been an absolute pleasure, man. Can't wait to see you here just a couple of months at the Indiana Convention Center. It is the Indiana Comic Convention, June 5th through the 7th, and make sure you get some photo ops and maybe some mini scenes with Chris Bartlett. And, I know we've done a lot of C3PO, but as I let you go, can you give me a little Q90?
Despite recent modifications, your ship is still quite a mess. The fuel lines are leaking. The navigation is intermittent, and the hyperdrive is operating at only 67.3% efficiency. We have much better ships than this. Why are we using this one?
Oh, that is incredible. Chris, thank you. Thank you so much for the time. I do appreciate it, and we'll see you in a couple of months, bud.
Podcasts by Federated Media.